Starting next week, American service members, many of whom live paycheck to paycheck, are going to miss a full paycheck. If Democrats don't end this shutdown by Monday, then that October 15th date will pass us by. You've got millions of American families who will now have to figure out how to make their mortgage, how to cover their rent, pay the car note, keep food on the table, because Democrats, Chuck Schumer and his colleagues in the Senate are here playing games. Republicans have voted over and over to end this madness and reopen the federal government. We did our job. By way of reminder, the House passed a clean, nonpartisan CR 3 weeks ago today to keep the government funded and, by extension, to pay our troops and TSA agents and Border Patrol agents and air traffic controllers and the rest of our federal workforce. We had that vote 3 weeks ago. And since then, Senate Democrats have voted repeatedly to keep the government closed. In the Senate, they have now voted 7 times to block paychecks for 2 million federal civilian workers and 1.3 million active duty military men and women. Now, I want to be very specific so that everybody in America can clearly cut through the obstruction and understand exactly who is to blame for this chaos. In fact, would you bring me that chart just real quick? I just want to point this out. Let's just make clear. This is the votes to pay troops and federal workers, okay? This is the number of times that the vote has been done. September 10th, the GOP in the House voted to pay the troops and pay all these federal workers. The Senate did it on September 19th, September 30th, again on October 1st, and 3rd, and 6th, and the 8th, and the 9th. Every single time the Republicans voted to pay the troops and federal workers, and every single time the Democrats voted not to. That is the record. They'll continue to put this bill on the floor. It'll be on the floor again next week in the Senate. And we'll see how many times they want people to go without paychecks. The Republicans are not playing games here. We sent a very clean, simple CR. You see this. Thank you so much for that. We are doing the job and making sure that the American people are taken care of. But judging by their behavior right now, the Democrats don't appear to be in any rush to end this pain. There's some headlines I brought you this morning. I just want you to hear what's being said about this. CNN headline from yesterday, quote, Democrats say even missed paychecks for U.S. troops won't be enough to end the shutdown alone. For many of them, this is about showing a fight to President Trump. They have to show a fight against Republicans so they can appease who? The far left base of their party. It is shameful. And for what? Chuck Schumer, the architect of this shutdown, is trying to bow to the Marxist wing of his party. You heard him yesterday. He said in his own words, every day of the shutdown, he said, quote, gets better for us. Better for who, Chuck? For the Democrats in the Senate? So you can bow to the Marxist base and not get a challenge? Here's another headline from Politico yesterday. Quote, Chuck Schumer's critics are satisfied. Yeah, the far left base, the party is satisfied. They don't mind the troops go without pay and civilian workers are furloughed. They don't care. Former DNC chair David Hogg, he heaped praise on Chuck Schumer as well. This is what Chuck Schumer was after. This is what he desires. The praise from the far left. David Hogg said, quote, give credit where credit's due. This is a big step up. A big step up. While you're delaying flights, while you're making people go through this pain. The co-founder of the far left group Indivisible said this yesterday publicly, quote, Chuck Schumer hasn't surrendered yet. I call that progress. There's one inescapable fact. It's a glaring fact that everybody in America can see. Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. I'm going to say that again. Chuck Schumer is hurting real Americans for his own political survival. If you're a service member who's not getting a paycheck, it's because Chuck Schumer has to appease the Marxist. Cut and simple. It's plain and simple. Shame on you, Chuck. Every Senate Democrat who's going along with this, you lack the moral fortitude to do the right thing. This is the first time in history, the first time in the history of the United States Congress, that a party has shut down the government over a clean CR. We frankly didn't expect this. We sent over a no-frills 24-page document to keep the lights on, keep Congress working, to keep the paychecks flowing, and they stopped it because they're afraid of the far left. I'm just going to walk through a quick sample of the devastating impacts that Americans are feeling as we speak right here, because this is real. And you'll note a theme here. A lot of these are blue states where their Senate Democrats are over here keeping the government closed. In California, home of the nation's largest civilian workforce, more than 250,000 federal workers are now working without pay. Both the Democrat senators, Padilla and Schiff, have now voted 7 times to block those paychecks. In Virginia, there are 189,000 federal employees, nearly 5% of the state's workforce, that are waiting on their next full paycheck. And both of their senators, Warner and Kaine, refused to pass a clean bipartisan CR that Democrats supported 13 times under Joe Biden in the previous 4 years. In Maryland, Maryland is a hub of trade and commerce. You have 150,000 federal workers there. Both of their senators, also Brooks and Van Hollen, have voted 7 times to keep the government closed. In Georgia, home to our nation's busiest airport, there's close to 110,000 federal workers, including thousands of TSA agents and air traffic controllers, now being forced to work without pay. You guessed it. Senators Ossoff and Warnock voted to block those paychecks too. Arizona, 58,000 workers serve the federal government, including many Border Patrol agents who are working hard to keep us safe. That hasn't stopped Arizona Senators Kelly and Gallego from blocking funding 7 times for the paychecks for their own constituents. In fact, they have so much idle time, they're having publicity stunts, posing publicity stunts outside my office. In New York, let's talk about New York because this is interesting. It's the home to both of the Democrat leaders, both in the Senate and the House. 115,000 federal workers are waiting on Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand to come to their senses and end this shutdown. Chuck Schumer said himself, with every day of the shutdown gets better for us. And what does that look like? We're talking about 2 million civilian workers, 1.3 million active duty service members, everybody being hurt because of it. Chuck is what they're doing right now. I've been asked many times in interviews over the last couple of days, you seem angry. You don't get angry a lot. I don't, but this is beyond the pale. What Chuck Schumer's doing right now, it's sickening. It's sickening to hear him say it's better for him and his party when it's so terrible for real Americans. Millions of people are experiencing real pain because of these political games. And you'd think after 44 years in Congress, Chuck Schumer would know better. But it seems apparent now that he spent too long in Washington to understand the real pain of real people. We're going to share a few more things with you about this morning and to talk about some of the real-world impacts on federal law enforcement.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.